I thought Matt was going middle.
Apologies.
Yeah, no.
We did the, as you might expect, bare minimum to prepare for tonight.
This is a bit. But here we are. Dallas, Texas. What's going on? Dallas, Texas. It's a joy to be with you here tonight. Let's fucking go. All right, Dallas. We're in Dallas tonight, and I thought we would investigate local politics here in Dallas. So there's one local politician running for office here in Dallas that I think is very worthy of all of our support. Can we put him up on the big board there? So, if you have a chance to vote in the RISD Board Trustee Place 4 election coming up soon, consider dropping your vote for Mr. Lee Harvey.
He's a straight shooter.
So, Dallas, obviously, we got the boy running for office here. So we thought, okay, what's something special we can do for the Dallas show? And by special, I mean, how can I finally placate our Hog fans who've been bothering me about this for what feels like 10 years now? But I don't know if you noticed or not, the button that I'm wearing right now, but for those in the back, it says, "Re-elect Barbara's husband" in 1992. That's right, Dallas. We're talking the Kennedy assassination. So for you guys here tonight, we are premiering Part 3 of Poppy.
The greatest Texan of all time, George H.W. Bush. I think we'd all agree. The Texan's Texan, they called him. The most Texan.
So, just a little to refresh your memory here. When we left off with our intrepid hero, he was sequestered in China to avoid the fallout of the Watergate scandal that he helped engineer.
Yes.
He had just been involved in pulling off what was essentially a kind of intelligent state coup against Richard Nixon.
He was trying to do foreign policy. No, you can't do that. That's not your job.
And then had just been appointed head of the CIA by Gerald Ford, despite seemingly having no experience whatsoever working for the CIA.
I don't know nothing about this business. I'm just happy to be helping.
Many people said that he was like a Ted Lasso figure of the CIA. He just kind of ended up there, and it's like, well, I guess this is a mix-up, but I'm going to do the best I can do.
He came into the CIA after the Church Committee. It was sort of a losing team, and they needed to be revived by some good old-fashioned positive thinking.
Yeah, no.
Fuck, that is actually what happened.
Yeah, no, he got that team on track. To this day, they've had very few bad seasons.
This is fucking with me because I cannot think of a contemporary political figure who is more like Ted Lasso than George H.W. Bush. It is uncanny.
Yeah.
Fuck, he just needed the goddamn mustache.
He also eats pussy too. Is that a Ted Lasso thing?
He does do that, yes.
So yes, he was brought into sort of clean house after Richard Helms and the rather damaging revelations of the Church Committee, which revealed, among other things, experiments on human guinea pigs, mind control programs, political assassinations and coups, domestic surveillance, run down the list. I think this was the shit that they were just willing to disclose.
The family jewels.
The family jewels.
Richard Helms called it, yeah.
So check this out. This is, once again, thank you to Russ Baker and his book, Family of Secrets, for providing much of the information here tonight. But I did want to talk about there was a New York Times editorial page. There was the editorial section. There was a New York Times editorial to commemorate the fact, hey, ladies and gentlemen, our new CIA director. And you could tell that they were really struggling for things to talk about because they ignored the fact that he had been a CIA agent pretty much his entire adult life. So let's put up the New York Times article. A breezy head of the CIA, George Herbert Walker Bush.
Easy breezy, baby. Look at him.
Read here. This will be sort of a refresher on the career of Poppy. Shortly after arriving in Peking last fall as chair of the American Liaison Office, George Herbert Walker Bush astonished fellow diplomats by arriving at official receptions on a bicycle instead of in a limousine.
Just like the Chinese do it.
Or Ted Lasso. He also has a bike.
He would do that. Oh my God! If Ted Lasso showed up in Beijing to like ingratiate himself, you know that motherfucker would fucking just ride around on a goddamn bicycle, which is exactly what George and Barr did when they were in Beijing.
His mode of travel was typical of the heavy casualness of this one-time Texas oil millionaire, whom President Ford named tonight as head of the Central Intelligence Agency. The lean and handsome Mr. Bush, who is noted, who is a noted host and a versatile athlete. This is the guy who just got appointed head of the CIA, and they're like, well, let's look at the CIA. His wife throws good parties. He could play baseball. He played baseball.
He's cool.
Yeah. Is the product of an aristocratic Connecticut family. His father, Prescott Bush, served in the United States Senate. Yet, as chief American representative to China, George Bush has succeeded at least to a limited degree.
Honestly, that's the best kind of degree. Like, realistically, look in your heart. Are you going to succeed to a degree or to a limited degree? We all know.
Instead of formal dinners and receptions, the Bush is entertained by serving soft drinks and popcorn while showing old movies. Last July 4th, they had an American picnic, hot dogs, hamburgers, and beer on the grounds of the American compound. There were door prizes, including an exercise cycle for a corpulent Middle Eastern ambassador. Wait, that's so fucked up. They just have some fat Saudi oil son come through, and George Bush is just like, I got you a gift.
Here's Joan Fonda.
Continuing, it says, one observer of the Peking scene said recently, it's Dime Square or something. One observer of the Peking scene said recently, George Bush has become a center of attention and affection in the diplomatic community. His friends range from a clerk in the Italian embassy, a tennis partner, to the highest-ranking ambassadors. So he has two friends. He made two friends in China. George Bush has often amazed friends and critics with his talent for smiling in the face of keen political disappointments. He was twice elected to the House in 1966 and 1968, but was defeated for the United States Senate in 1964 and 1970, and 3 times mentioned in vain as a vice presidential candidate. Funny you bring that up. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. If confirmed by the Senate as director of the Central Intelligence, Mr. Bush may face the most difficult challenge of his career, since it is a post requiring a low political profile, and he is openly ambitious politically. Mr. Bush, who was born on June 12, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts, looks far younger than he is.
He's a goddamn dime. He's a snack, and he's a pog.
They're really in the tank for him in this article. This is they're writing about LeBron. They're writing about LeBush here. They're talking about how good he is at smiling, his two friends, how he gave soda to everyone at his party.
So just at the end here, it says here, after the war, he went to Yale, where he captained the baseball team and won a Phi Beta Kappa key before graduating in 1948. After that, he built up an oil drilling business in Texas that made him a millionaire. He is married to the former Barbara Pierce. They have 5 children. Politics, he said a few years ago, is always going to be a part of me. So, politics is always going to be a part of him.
Can't stop.
Can't stop. Won't stop. So, yeah, Gerald Ford, he nominates him to be director of the CIA. And it's funny to think about, he's been mentioned a bit for vice president. He did not sail through the confirmation because, as the Times article mentions, he had already run for political office a number of times as a Republican and was very much planning to do that again when he was nominated for the position. So to allay people's fears, Gerald Ford issued an official statement on behalf of George Bush that stated that he had, at Poppy's urging, that stated that he would never, ever seek or hold the vice presidential position.
Never. He would never even think to do such a thing. And honestly, it's disgusting for you to even ask.
So he was eventually confirmed. I think like 23 people voted against him, but he was confirmed fairly easily. And after he was confirmed, obviously the first order of business is help manage the agency's response to the church committee and its rather troubling revelations, and continue the mission of scrubbing everything like Richard Helms had been doing before he was shown the door. And just, basically just backing up dump trucks of papers to an incinerator. He took over in 1976 and was given a clear mandate by Gerald Ford. A sweeping reorganization that placed more power in the hands of the director than had ever existed before. Interesting. Strange for a guy with no experience whatsoever in intelligence to suddenly find himself...
He's just happy to be there.
To suddenly find himself in an executive bureaucratic position that all of a sudden more power has been placed...
Oh, shucks. You want me to do it? Well, I guess I will.
And it also increased the CIA's authority over other departments, like intelligence, like the Pentagon's DNI and like several other intelligence agencies. It really made clear that the CIA, like they were all subordinate to the CIA, and everyone is subordinate to this Ted Lasso figure who's just been given the keys to the kingdom.
He's just like, heck, y'all, come on in here, like get around,
Usually, when something's been the subject of tremendous malfeasance, you want to concentrate power within it. And I was just thinking, just on the Ted Lasso thing, it is such a funny moment here because if anybody's listened to Hell of Presidents, Gerald Ford really is President Football.
It's true.
Just like this moment where it's like President Football and that Times report that's like, you would write the exact same profile of somebody you were hiring to coach your local rec league.
Yeah, that's
you know? It's like, meanwhile, they're just creating a charnel house in Central America the entire time, and they're like, but he sure throws a good hot dog picnic.
President Football and President Baseball, right?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
As CI director, Bush exercised another Bush family specialty, which is systematically favoring an intelligence that played into hardline conservatives' like fears of Russia and the Soviet Union. And I'm talking about, of course, a direct reversal of the Nixon and Kissinger policy of détente in favor of three gentlemen named Paul Wolfowitz, Donald Rumsfeld, and Dick Cheney. Yes, that's correct. He oversaw the creation of what was known as the Pentagon's Team B. Team B, they're basically like the Team B, like they were made up of hardline neoconservatives who had long pilloried the Central Intelligence Agency because their intelligence was too soft on Russia. And in their mind, the problem with the CIA's intelligence is that it was based only on data and not vibes. It was only hard data, no vibes. And you got guys like Wolfowitz in there, and he's saying, have I ever been to Russia? No. Do I speak Russian? Definitely not. Do I understand the Russian mindset? Absolutely. And it's only through vibes can something like that be accomplished. No, but like the Team B specialty was, like the CIA, they would ask for a report from the CIA on Russia's doomsday weapon. And the CIA would come back and they said, we've put all our intelligence analysts on this and we have found no evidence whatsoever of a Russian doomsday device, i.e. we think it's highly unlikely that one exists. Team B would go, you see, you fools. The fact that you found no evidence for it is what it assures us that it does exist.
Yeah, Team B, anytime in the TCOT years that you would see a conservative fret about a, Iranian submarine that is just miles away from the U.S. coast, they're really playing off the legacy of Team B. Team B is in the hearts of every amateur Kremlinologist and Russia expert, whether they're in Ukraine, like Terrell Starr, or just stateside, typing it up.
So yeah, like he had, he oversaw the guys, like planted the seeds of what would become like, the Iraq War and like that whole intelligence debacle. But like I think this underscores here that like it's kind of the mistake people make when they talk about intelligence, because like you read accounts of this and they're like, oh, like they didn't like the CIA intelligence analysts because their intelligence was not biased enough, and it's just like that's just because the analysts weren't reading the room good enough. I mean, there is data out there that you can control, you can attempt to draw like what are more or less rational conclusions from, but there is simply no way that an organization like an intelligence gathering bureaucracy exists in a government such as ours or any in the world where intelligence is not going to be subordinate to the politics of the people who surround it. Yeah. It's always going to be political, and there's always going to have an agenda to it. Mm-hmm. Team B was just like they had to change the agenda. Yeah. They had to change the agenda to make it seem like to justify restarting the Cold War, essentially.
Yeah.
Again, like, and keep in mind that Nixon he just oversaw Nixon being removed from office more or less because, as Matt said, him and Kissinger attempted to exercise pretty much total control over U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah, that's not good.
Which is
You
not
can't do
allowed.
that. You're not in charge.
They were cutting
you're
out.
the president? Who do you think you are? The president? Oh no. That's adorable.
So, in addition to cooking the book, scrubbing the record to cover up everything the Church Committee was looking into, and cooking intelligence about Soviet doomsday devices, Poppy oversaw another thing the Bush family specializes in, privatizing things. And he oversaw like a near total privatization of U.S. intelligence in the form of getting the Saudis to fund covert actions unapproved by Congress.
It's so easy. Oh no, how are we going to get this approved by Congress? Who gives a shit? Get a suitcase full of diamonds from a Saudi prince.
Yeah, the late 70s were the time when Prince Turki Al Faisal, who is Bush's equivalent in Saudi intelligence, General Intelligence Directorate, started the policy of Wahhabization, but under the aegis of Saudi intelligence, which was going to places that were near Russian or Russian sympathetic governments and just giving already Muslim populations more money than they'd ever seen to be like, okay, you're Wahhabi now. And then you just put it in the oven, let it sit for about 20 years, and there's new money for the Black Eagle Trust Fund.